OK, staying with an environmental issue, a family in Newcastle, County Down, were woken by the sound of bulldozers knocking down a building next door to them in the early hours of yesterday morning. Local people say 110-year-old property has been demolished to make way for an apartment development. Jim Wells, the MLA for the area, says he warned the authorities that this building was about to be demolished, but nothing was done. He's with me now. Jim Wells, you're very welcome. This building looks out into the harbour, so you would see it if you were driving along that main road in Newcastle.
Central Promenade.
So what exactly happened, as far as you're aware? Is that a fair synopsis of what happened?
Yes, I warned the planners on Friday afternoon this building was about to be demolished. They came out and the developer reassured them that it was just being made secure. 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, the bulldozers arrived and a 110-year-old building, part of Newcastle's heritage, was flattened in 3 hours.
And the key point here is anybody that does this kind of thing can do so with relative impunity? Well,
if they do it at the weekend, they can, because there's no planners working at the weekends, there's no one there to stop them. And even if they're taken to court, all indications are the fine could be anything from £600 to £5,000. The site's worth $500,000, so the economics don't add up.
Well, the DOE have issued a statement. Now they've said on that point that they can be fined up to £30,000 at a magistrate's court. I think history, as you're alluding to there, is maybe that £5,000 so far has been the order of the day, or even less. But they've said, and specifically in relation to the warning that you gave them, they said Planning Service can confirm that the enforcement team was contacted on Friday and visited the site. However, the builder and his workers had left the site. Although some window frames and roof tiles had been removed, this did not constitute demolition work. Therefore, they could not place a stop notice on the site as there was no breach at that stage. What is that planner speak? What does that mean?
Well, what they conveniently forget is that the developer was completely open. He wanted to knock it down and put 9 apartments on. He wasn't hiding anything. And I warned the planners this was going to happen and I asked them, will there be anybody over the weekend to step in and stop it? And they said no. Well, once the developer became aware of that situation, it was a green light.
Now, the other thing, though, that the DOE are pointing out is that one of the options is that they could serve an enforcement notice on the developer, which would require the construction of a building referred to as a replacement building, or as similar as possible to the original, to the demolished building. Effectively, the builder could, rather than just going to court and find a few £1,000s, could be made to replace that building.
It's called reinstatement, and it's never been used. And I think that is crucial. If an example was made of this individual, and he was forced to reinstate the building, which had cost an absolute fortune, that would send a very clear signal to all the developers in Newcastle and throughout Northern Ireland: you won't get away with this. And I'm urging the department to use that piece of legislation and force a complete rebuilding of that old demolished site.
What do you think the chances are of Sammy Wilson actually doing that?
Well, since 1973 it's never happened, but I think this is an opportunity. I mean, my phone hasn't stopped and I've had emails from throughout Northern Ireland with people appalled at what's happening here. And this is an opportunity for the Minister to basically stamp this activity out, because this will send us a clear message to other road developers: you're just not going to get away with this.
And as a rather more limited but maybe necessary step, somebody from the Planning Service should carry a mobile phone with them at the weekends.
I think there should be at least one planner on duty in Northern Ireland at the weekend. Water pollution control, illegal dumping, they've all got men on the ground at the weekends. The developers know most of these alleged demolitions occur either at night or at weekends, because they know full well that come 5 o'clock everybody's way home and there's nobody there on a Saturday or Sunday.
Now, how would this Northern Ireland compare, say, with the likes of England? I know they're much stricter in terms of listed buildings and things like that, but would reinstatement be something that's used there?
Well, the situation in England is much stricter. Really, this would never be countenanced by a county council, say, in the middle of England or the home counties. We in Northern Ireland have a very lax attitude to our protected historic buildings. And basically, people ask me, do you need a licence to fell a building? Yes, you do. It's called a bulldozer. And really, you can get away with blue murder. And I've seen Newcastle destroyed by people following similar patterns. Trees, historic buildings just falling down left, right and centre. What's even more frightening, this developer owns 5 other houses in the town, all of which are listed, and they must be very vulnerable as we speak.
Well, you said it hasn't happened since 73. Of course, we now have a sustained period of devolution, the longest period in some time. This then is a test of devolution in action?
Absolutely, and I think there's a wonderful opportunity here for the Minister and the new Northern Ireland Environment Agency to take a stand on this important issue. And I believe the public are 100% behind the planners in this. I haven't had a single comment, apart from the developer, of criticism of my stance on this today, and the community are right behind effective action being taken on this issue.
OK. Jim Wells, many thanks indeed.